pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Today is Tuesday, May 9, 2023, the time being 5:30 p.m. The meeting of the Greensburg Board of Works is called to order. At this time, please silence all electronic devices. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that's available on the table in the back of the room. Amy is absent tonight, so we have Julie Herbert with us this evening. Julie, would you please call the roll?
Cindy Kane.
Here.
Lindsay Joe. Here. Rodney King.
Here.
Lynn Tubby.
Here.
And Mayor Joshua Marsh.
Here. You all should have received a copy of the minutes from April 11, 2023. Any edits, additions, corrections? If not, take a motion to approve those as presented. Motion's been made by Rodney.
Second.
Second by Lindsay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Jamie abstains. Any opposed? Okay, you should have received a copy of the minutes for May 5th, 2023, the executive sessions. Any edits, additions, or corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve those as presented?
So moved.
Motion's made by Glenn.
Second.
Seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those abstaining? Those opposed? The only item we have under old business is the North Wilder Street stormwater improvements. Zeke, I feel like we have a little bit of an error in the folder, so I'll let you explain that, please.
We can do that. So I did successfully complete getting 3 competitive quotes for the future stormwater work off of North Wilder. By chance, do you have those quotes in front of you, or did you not get those?
We have,
We only have one.
we have the one new one, and we have the one from the previous
Gotcha.
last
There
month.
should have been 3 in the package, so there must have been a little bit of a mishap there. Either way, I'll kind of go ahead and jump in. So I did receive 3 successful submittals of the quote in the requested time frame. 3 quotes. One of them was from Dave O'Mara, Johanning Excavating, and Diesel Excavating. The first quote I received was from Dave O'Mara for $124,915. The second quote I received was from Johanning Excavating for $124,098. And the third and final quote was from Diesel Excavating for $98,451. This project did change a little bit. We did end up adding 3 inlets in the alleyway, as well as 3 manholes on the roadway. And then we're going to carry this infrastructure across Stewart and tie into the existing stormwater infrastructure, which is the newest infrastructure, just west of the alleyway. So that was added on to that. After reviewing these quotes, I would recommend going with the least expensive of the 3 for $98,451, Diesel Excavating.
Have we worked with them previously
And yeah,
successfully?
correct.
Thank you.
What do you think the reason is? Obviously, I think we'll go with the lower estimate here, but it's 2 of them are very, very near one another, and the other was substantially less. Any concern about that? Any reason that you understand?
No, we all seen that out there. We went over it in great detail and kind of what the expectations were for the project. I know some questionable concern with the utilities running down that alleyway. I know a couple of the contractors it's full of utilities, and so they were a little scared of that. So that was one of their concerns, is how are we going to make this happen? So other than that, I think that was one thing that could have potentially made things a little different.
With that in mind, we do have bond on this, or if there's a concern with the utilities there?
It's in the stormwater budget. I'm not sure how that would.
I'm concerned about just
The contractor,
contractor.
they do have to be bonded for
Yeah,
our city
okay.
standards.
All right, that's all, that's what I want to be clear about, so, okay.
Any other questions for Zeke on that? If not, we take a motion to work with Diesel on the North Wilder Street stormwater improvements.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Jamie,
Second.
second by Lindsay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thanks, Zeke.
Thanks, guys.
John Bryant is not with us this evening. I once again saved them a little bit of a trip to give a short update. I believe I added it to your folder, and if I didn't, I will. The IDM permits and state design release have been received for the fire station, and the street department drawings have been sent to the state for construction design release on April 30th. The schedule, Meyer Nation did mobilize on the 4th of this month. If you go by out there, you'll see that their trailer and site superintendent is on site. Shooty Excavating is also on site for starting some dirt work. They've done the stormwater and erosion control. They will begin stripping topsoil maybe yet this week, if not early next week. The IDM demo permit is expected to be returned late next week, and then the north building demo is expected to start the week of the 20th. And then we will start constructing the building pads by the end of this month, early beginning of June. Street department steel delivery is still on schedule for mid-June. And Veritas is working alongside Shooty, Meyer Nation, and Runabout to develop a master schedule in order to hit work milestones in relation to construction of both of the building pads. We've had our pre-construction meeting, or it is scheduled for this Thursday in the afternoon, that will discuss logistics and the next steps for this. And then today we also sent out the request for proposals for fits and finishes and equipment. So that's the more interior items that went out all over the state, and it seemed like it garnered a lot of chatter in the email that came after that. It'll be due in a couple weeks. So that is the update out there. Obviously, we have the groundbreaking on Saturday. I hope that all of you and the public can come, and then we will be well underway. Any questions? I saved them a trip for that report, so they will be here next month. We are going to start on-site meetings with the contractors and our reps. If not this week, starting next week or the next couple weeks too, so there'll be some progress. Questions on that? Perfect. First item then, Jessica Brand is here on Eagles Wings 5K for the annual road closures. So good evening.
Hi, I'm Jessica Hadler, here on behalf of the On Eagles Wings 5K. The annual event has been scheduled for August 26th this year. Same route as usual, time's the same, 9 to 10 o'clock. I am here, we usually have about 500 participants and volunteers. I'm here to request road closures for the event. No changes to the route. I usually work directly with the street department for barricades. No paint, so that shouldn't be an issue.
You beat me to the question about that.
No paint last year, no paint this year.
Much appreciated.
I do have one additional topic that came up for the 5K recently. We had a few people become a little confrontational at the barricades last year, mainly on Millhausen Road, so north end and the south end of the road. Is there any way we could get a deputy at the end of the road this year to help with that? Or do you know what the process is for that?
We could help with police officers.
That would be great.
Well, if you'll work directly with the chief
Okay.
on that, I
Okay.
think that probably shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Okay, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting, that's not happened before.
It has not happened
Yeah.
before, and it was actually on both ends last year. And we have guys stationed at both sides, but people were really unhappy this year about it. So,
It's pretty well marked too, advertised ahead of time, so, yeah. Well,
We can probably help with that.
thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions for Ms. Ring?
I have a quick question. I'm new to the group.
Yeah.
So under the circumstance that someone would be on call and have to get out for an emergency, how is that directed? I saw on the map, I think it's cut off at Beechwood, and then I think Millridge can get out Millhausen Road. Is that right?
That is correct. That's a great question. Not been asked that before. I guess in the past, our stance has been that it's for the safety of the participants, and it's an hour that it's really blocked off. We don't block it until participants start, until participants end. I understand emergencies happen, and we do make exceptions for that. In general, the people who are disruptive, it's because they
Didn't plan accordingly?
Yes. So I mean, we're more than happy to work with people when emergencies arise, and the roadblocks are movable, so we can let you through. But
Okay,
does
thank
that
you.
answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made by Rodney, second by Glenn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. Julie Nobby is here, our city personnel administrator, with an update to the job description. Good evening, Julie.
So when we were reviewing, for the part-time position, the job description, it's probably a few years old. Didn't really like the way it was written and wanted to make some changes. So we just kind of followed the format of the rest of our job descriptions that we have. So I think you have a copy of both, the old one and the new one. As time progresses, we're probably gonna go over a lot of our job descriptions. They haven't been updated since 2016. So we may be coming forward with more changes in the future, hopefully within a year, get through most of them.
Yeah, when I saw this, I saw that it was in the format of the more recent ones we've done. And this is part-time, right?
Yeah, we
But
have a
then-
part-time person and she left probably back in December. So before we hired a new one, we thought we should update the job description.
So my question is, at the beginning of the job description, it has work schedule, it says 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, but it's part-time, so it means that it could be any of those days
Yes.
that time.
Yes, and I looked at the other job descriptions that we had on file for part-time, and that's how they were worded also.
Okay.
So that's why I just followed that, because that way we can adjust it.
Yeah, I thought it might be that way, but I just wanted to be sure that was clarified. And it's part-time, so the way I read it, it looks like it, and I didn't read it real carefully, so my question may be inaccurate, but it appeared to me that it's you're wanting to be able to cover more than one position.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
so like, the part-time person might help me out, they might help Amy out, they might help, other Julie out,
Right.
just anywhere we would need them.
That's the way I read it, so,
Yeah.
okay. That's, seems prudent.
Is that a motion to approve?
Unless my colleagues have other questions or concerns, I certainly would move approval of the change in job description.
Second.
Motion's been made by Glenn, second by Lindsay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Perfect. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief McNeely. You have a lot of bullet points.
I do. Board. First thing I want to talk about, yesterday about 3 o'clock, I was contacted by, I believe the company name is Eagle. They were the original salespersons and the resellers of the jail pods located at 119 East Railroad Street. It was basically an email that with the smaller map that I gave to you, and they basically said they were coming in on May 22nd and moving them out on May 23rd, and to expect possibility of closing Broadway Street for 2 days. I emailed him back, I called the mayor real quick and emailed him back and said that doesn't work real well for us. It's a main thoroughfare serving the southern end of the city, as well as the south central portion of the county, and asked them if they're willing to work with us to come up with some other solutions. Sent them a map this morning and talked to their main point of contact person. They are willing to work with us. I spoke to street commissioner today. He worked with the city engineer. They looked at some of the proposed plans. Don't know if they'll work, but at least it sounds like they're willing to help out and work with us as much as possible. I did say that we would prefer a partial lane closing as opposed to a full street closure, just because it's going to be for such an extended period of time, and the street that they're doing on it affects all emergency services that use that road as well as residents. So basically I'm looking for a motion to approve partial and or full closing, depending on what we can get worked out that Monday.
For 1 day only now?
For 2 days, for Tuesday and Wednesday, May 20 and
22 and 23, you said?
Yes.
23 and 24.
Yeah. We did give them some alternates that they had not listed. They're willing to try those if the trucks will fit. Main concern, talking to the street commissioner and the engineer, is they may not be able to make some of the turns that we've suggested, and that'll be, according to the guy that, from Eagle, Tim, he says that that's up to the truck drivers, if they can get in and out of there. But they're pretty big trucks.
Well, it's to the advantage of county, and city for that matter too, that these be removed. And, opening up that area, so.
Will there be officers available at the time?
What's that?
Will there be officers available?
I told them we would not be there for 2 days to be able to close the streets when they do that. Told them it's their responsibility to close down the streets if it needs to be, but then open it back up as quickly as they can if it has to be closed. My guess is when they pick them up and set them on the trailer, they will stop traffic. I don't want anybody driving through there while they're covering that thing above a trailer.
Will there be signage at Main Street and Franklin and Broadway?
I think some of that's probably gonna have to be determined at the last minute of where we're gonna be. Last year, we had no heads up at all. They just showed up one day. And Mark and his team scrambled to try to get some signage put up. If we can at least get a 1-day notice, that's better than nothing, as well as, we can communicate through media resources, social media resources, based on what we come up with Monday. The company is bringing some barricades and cones, they said.
It looks like it doesn't affect that many residential areas from what I'm seeing, is that right?
Directly, no.
Okay.
What it does affect is flow of traffic to the south portion of the city. A lot of people use Broadway to get down to Southwest 60, get out of the county, as well as get around the Park Road. So that can be rerouted, and especially if people know ahead of time, if I go on down to Montfort Street, I don't have to worry about it. And I think as much notice as possible, and I can continue to communicate with Tim and Eagle to try to communicate as much as we possibly can before this happens.
It appears to me you've done your homework, and I appreciate that.
Sounds like you've done everything you can do to get to that. I see no reason for us to become an obstacle, so I would move approval of road closing as necessary for your decision and the street efforts.
Absolutely.
And I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Glenn, second by Rodney. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed.
In your folders, you should have received pay application number 1 for the HVAC project at this police department. We had our first on-site meeting with the contractor and engineers. It's not gonna happen as soon as we want it to, but it is moving forward. So the pay application is for some of the pre-work documentation and stuff like that.
Is there a motion to approve that as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made by Lindsay,
Second.
second by Glenn. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed.
Third thing I brought back our policy manual here, told you I would bring it back this month, and if you were ready to approve, I would entertain a motion for that, or if you need more time, obviously it's pretty in-depth, and would also be okay with that.
I need more time.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
I will, more time may be helpful to me. I did peruse it pretty
Sure.
much. Just recommending, make sure you got yourself a very good tracking system for training.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's, and I was overwhelmed, I think is the right word, by the number and different types of circumstances and policies, and in terms of not only responding to things, but also internally with regard to, well, minutia almost. So it was just eye-opening, and I can see why you hired we hired a company to do this, because it's, I mean, I take my hats off to the officers to being able to absorb it all for one, and I understand that a lot of these things are gonna be, not gonna be, but God willing, will never happen, but are infrequent.
Sure.
And rare, and so, that we don't have to get into the weeds of all of them, but, it was amazing. Yeah, it was,
Unfortunately, since we've last adopted our policies, policing has changed a lot.
hindsight, yeah.
All right, well, we'll put that on for next month, and if that works, and if not, we'll do it again.
Lindsay, is that a motion to table?
Yes, motion to table.
Second. Motion been made, second by Jake. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Okay. You should have received a sales quote from Keesler in your folder as well. This is for replacement of rifles. These are our oldest AR-style rifles. These are issued to our officers that they carry daily in their vehicles, hopefully to never get them out. This is a budgeted item as a capital improvement that we put in for last year, into this year's budget last year, and it does replace 10 of the ones that we currently have. And the rifles will go back to the dealer in this situation.
The older ones will?
Yes, the older ones will.
That was my question, where those were going.
These are harder to move because of the mechanics of the rifle, and so it's easier for us, even though we get a lower, well, we would get a near impossible to private sell them in lower buyback from the dealer, and so that's basically what our option was.
Is that buyback considered in this quote?
No. I believe I'll look into that, Jamie, but I believe, well, no, this was a budgeted item, sorry. So,
Will they provide training?
yes, absolutely. Yeah, lots.
They didn't give us a number for the amount that they're paying us for.
No, and if I remember correctly, I believe they were gonna give us store credit because we use that business a lot, for ammunition purchases. So they were gonna give us a store credit rather than a buyback.
And that's useful to us.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions?
Make a motion to approve?
Motion's been made by Rodney,
Second.
seconded by Lindsay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
And the last thing is, last Thursday, we met and spoke to applicants, and my suggestion coming to you today is approval for applicant number 1.
Seems like a good applicant.
Yeah,
Motion to hire.
I would move that we offer conditional employment to applicant number 1. Second.
Motion's been made by Glenn, seconded by Rodney. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Perfect, thank
Thank
you. Chief Sturmer, you also have a conditional offer of employment.
Correct. Good evening, everyone. At the executive session last Thursday, we interviewed 2 candidates. Those would be candidates number 2 and 3. Candidate 1 was a holdover from the previous executive session and requesting approval for a conditional offer for applicant number 3.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Lindsay,
Second.
seconded by Rodney. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Those opposed? Thank you. Superintendent Seaman.
Good evening again, Board, Mayor. In front of you should be a copy of the Strand Associates Task Order number 23-03. Essentially, this is the 2023 on-call wastewater service contract renewal. We did work with these guys last year as well, so essentially this is just renewing that contract from 22. If you don't know who Strand is, you're kind of new to the board. Essentially, they help me with any and everything wastewater related in an effort to stay in compliance as a plan. So, looking to just continue that relationship in 23 and renew this on-call wastewater service contract.
It was in the budget as well, right?
Yeah.
I assume since you brought it, there's no reason to change.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Keep everything as is.
So a motion to approve the contract with Strand. Motion's been made by Jamie,
Second.
second by Lindsay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Perfect. Thank you. Ron, you have a 200 block of West Washington stormwater study.
Yes, good evening. So, in working on the Washington Street, Franklin Street downtown project, we are aware of a drainage issue generally at the intersection of Jackson Street and Washington Street. And it occurred that while we're thinking about the work on Washington Street at that intersection and plan otherwise, it would be a good time to further consider that drainage situation. The work on already planned would likely address the intersection of Jackson and Broadway. Sorry, Jackson and Washington Street. However, the drainage problem continues further to the south along the alley there opposite Jackson Street. And the large impervious area, everything on the west side, everything on the east side of that alley in the red box and the west side of that alley all contributes. So we asked our consultant for a proposal to do some additional survey work in order to provide data for figuring out how to address the drainage through that alley, and also for engineering services to develop a conceptual plan. The proposed fee for the additional survey is $2,800, and for the engineering work for the conceptual plan is $16,500. That is not detailed design, but it allows us to have a better understanding of what we're doing in that neighborhood, so we don't aggravate the drainage problem, and so we, moving forward, have a plan for how we can address it. So the request is a total amount of $19,300 for those additional services.
And that's not money towards fixing it, that's just fixing the problem.
It's money towards fixing it, in that knowing what you need to do and how to do it is the beginning of all good projects,
Okay.
but it's not actual construction dollars, nor is it total design work.
It definitely is an issue that we have to address. I mean, if we're gonna, no sense in what we're doing on the other side and then contributing to the problem, we might as well make sure that we find a way that we can address it if we are. Is
And-
what you're already trying to find out, right?
And further, yes, you're absolutely correct, and further, it puts us in a position of not compounding that problem, not doing something that aggravates it.
Should we pay for this out of the stormwater fees that we're?
That is the proposal.
Any other questions for Ron? Our team that's working on the street project is gonna be doing it, so it works well together. They're kind of already here, they're already in the area. Then you have to come back and do some.
When we know the results of this work, and we know better the cost of the other work, and if we find some additional funding source that we're not currently aware of, there may be an opportunity to fold this into the bigger project.
Well, I think it puts a missing piece of the puzzle that we need the project correctly from the start, rather than making a decision that had to go back later to correct it.
That is the engineering approach.
Let's not throw back money after the big money, because let's invest the big money to begin with and come up with a well-done project. Make a motion to approve.
Motion been made by Rodney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lindsay. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ron. So updates, we have the open house that is available to anyone who would like to attend for the Washington Street project on May 22nd at noon. That will be here at City Hall. It will fit inside the hour, so we invite everyone to attend for that. We are hosting a separate one earlier in the day for business owners downtown. So they are being separately invited to address specific issues that relate to them. They've received a letter from us. Main Street has been in contact with them. We have been trying to make sure that they're very aware of that earlier in the morning, maybe before the shops open. But then this one is for the public at noon. So we're doing two that day. We also have our first public safety cookout, which is May 18th. That is next Thursday from 6 to 8. It's on Northwest Street at the intersection of Hendricks, there by the church. As always, we encourage everyone to come out and participate and be a part of that. We have our ribbon cutting and groundbreaking this Saturday, 10:30. Everyone is welcome to attend that. It will start right at 10:30, and we've got about a 30 to 45-minute program. Should be good. Mark has specifically ordered us good weather, so if it is not good, could be Mark's fault. And then Heavy Trash Week is next week. There has been a lot of online posts about that. Mark and I did a very extensive interview with the radio last week and talked about all the what's are allowed and what are not allowed. It was in the utility bills in April. It has been reposted on the utility bills in May. We've done online. We've done everything to try to make that as known as possible. So that will be coming up. You all received a copy of your claims. Any questions? If not, take a motion to approve those as presented. Motion's been made, second by Jamie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Perfect. Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thanks, everyone. See you next month.
Sunday, Mother's Day.
Yep, don't forget.
Pain causes all kinds of stuff.
I just bring it up.
What's your heart? I say it did.
No, ours is so together. It works. I was just hoping to this is takes a really long time. On the back of
Chris, have you worked on these small claims?
but there's a piece of our farm that's actually active. That's
You're aware of it, though,
because
right?
our piece is connected.
I'm sure I might be
You're for the next. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, you know, give me a second.
When you're feeling honored.
Letter, sent the guy.
That was a fun letter. Why is it your hair today? I like it. All right. See you guys in a half hour.
We got that old Dodge mod. I forgot about it. There we go.
Feel a lot better.
Oh, I can't get over how much he's grown. Yeah. He should pop. I thought he don't get so good. Gosh dang it. This mama can't. She will. Yeah. Work. Yeah.
All the keyholes. Okay, well, I knew you.
As you know, we
I knew your name, but I didn't know that. Yeah, but I didn't know what you looked like. Look at your mom. Look at your mom.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Why is it okay? It's not gonna finally do it.
Trying to get away from all these things, but it seems like I always get called back to
Did you go into panic then? Well, that was good. I thought there was a little more asked you.
The only thing I noticed in the last one.
I had no voice, dude. It was good.
I was there Sunday, I was just there before church.
I think the last time I seen you, you were just.
I have been there. You called me out. It's okay.
It used to be Hamilton. And then it was Hamilton. It was Hamilton when I went to Hamilton.
Best place to.
Seems like it's down when they're just drenched. And by then I'm like, hey, if I did that, I feel good. Oh, I seen you there. I seen you there.
Gotta get small in your first.
I know what. I didn't say that. I told Rick Denny that earlier. He busted me out. What? I can't even believe I just said that.
And if we don't get it,
That's
one of
good.
them's going by.
I like that.
One of them's done before I'm done.
Anyhow, that was one of my issues.
But it sticks to me, it likes me too, because I was green.
Do you know what's going back on the road, the area called
Is it nice out?
Like a fire audit, so I think it's insurance.
This is what they're annexing.
Yesterday, not what I expected. I know.
It's the weather we should be having it 1st of April, we get the 1st of May.
Oh, gosh.
Been mushroom hunting anymore?
No. I used to burn myself out finding the black and gray.
Everything that's in the red.
Then when the yellows are up, I'm like,
That was so weird.
I think ours is
Unbelievable.
huge. And it's already been,
I know,
that's how they get to me.
I know, what's the
Well, it's just out in the country. Farm ground right now. Oh, it's north, Honda, kind of catty corner back. Right goes straight down the new overpass.
I still have it.
And it's back through there,
Mainly because.
north side.
North side of the city.
Yeah, I bought it on the
North side of
phone.
the overpass road, they call it overpass road.
But the dumpster guy wants to come.
But we do need to park on either side of it, like literally just parking. What's up, Rick? How are you? How you doing? I'm all right. On this side of the ground. No, I'm on this side of the ground, so I'm all right. Yeah, how you feeling? Good. Still working? Too much? Yeah, I'm here to help you out.
Yeah, if you don't like it.
Yeah, yeah, you tell me to hit the road. There's work everywhere. There's work everywhere. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, people say you can't get a job or get free work.
And we need to push that, because it's not just getting money back, it's to serve citizens of Greensburg. We want to be big partners, but we're gonna start, we've been sending stuff to you if you can.
Oh, he was scared to death. And I told him, I said, you have my cell phone number? I said, all you have to do is call me and tell me. I said, I am responsible for every ticket. And I said, I feel responsible for that prosecutors. Because of that. Yeah, I thought, boy, they tell you what
So that's what I was saying. Is that wrong? Is that wrong? I'm thinking that way, but you just CC them on the email, so they can see it and see it. They started last response. No, I just mean, that's how, you know, it would get a response, I guarantee.
Is he just an officer or is he a sergeant?
I don't know what he does.
Oh, so he's not even CEO around here anymore?
He's off the road, he's up there doing stuff with their employer. Some young redheaded guy who lives down Westport.
Yeah, so he's new to the area.
Is he a little bitty fella?
Yeah.
I saw him at the FOP at Walmart there, he was helping out.
Yeah, we didn't have one for a long time. We just finally got one back. This little kid. Called a kid. I don't know what he is.
He is little.
He is little. He's young. Yeah. This is his first year. Yeah.
Right, exactly. He would walk up the stairs.
Had before.
Whatever.
Yeah. He did the same thing to Rick. It's vertically challenged, that's all.
You wear them high heels.
High heel.
He does. Somebody. High heel.
Could be.
Vacating, or I'm not vacating, I'm trying to not actually vacate. Didn't know.
How you doing? I just say good. I just say yeah. And that's probably the cheap.
Oh. Yeah, a little bit.
That's just hard to do. That's sorry, just trying to get out of your way.
There's somebody.
Worried about me? It's all right. I asked him, I said, no, yeah, it's a long time since I've seen you. I can disappear. I know, I was trained on how you want to do interviews. That first interview of each season's gonna be good.
Mayor fired you?
I ask questions, you write them down on a notebook.
What would we do without? Kickstart, just introduce, because everything is voluntary, they don't have to, they don't have to participate in anything.
But it looks good on you.
It does.
That's the thing.
We're just there to support them, you know, we're not.
I'm just there to get a pencil and run the campuses.
You're spraying.
Yeah, pretty much.
My daughter comes somehow find my way. I've seen my kids grow up.
I mean, there's some days where
I
Sure.
I'm just here listening.
Okay.
She's a vet.
Allie.
I'm gonna get Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a wish list.
Well, that's what we need to just split up.
That were all in plastic,
We're trying to. I'm not in Thursday, so I'm Friday. Number, what you want to vote. If you can just give me a list and say 1, 2, 3, 4.
I do.
Thanks.
Cause I'm more happy because I
Well, you know what you want.
Thanks. I watched it.
That's me every time. Clean.
Clean. Have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sometimes a fresh wash is all.
I just told the kids